Welcome again, everyone, to our Trigger Drip Marketing campaign with GoldMine. This morning, I'll just begin our introductions. My name is Pamela Pearl, and I'm your host and co-presenter today. We'll have two presenters today. First, I'd like to welcome all of the GoldMine users, as well as the GoldMine partners who have joined in this morning. You can expect to spend the next 45 to 60 minutes with us today. A few notes about our webinar. During the webinar, you will be on mute to avoid any background noise. If you have any technical problems or questions, please use your right-hand control panel to post your questions, and we will be monitoring during the webinar and will respond back to you. At the end, we will leave time for questions and answers, so please feel free to stay. I'd also like to invite you to our ongoing webinars, which you can find at www.IntelliClicksoftware.com, and you can select the webinars button. If you've missed any of our webinars, all of the recordings are out there under the recordings button under the webinars tab. So our other presenter today will be Stephen Pearl. He's the Director of Product Development for IntelliClick Solutions, and he has an extensive background in sales and marketing, so I think you'll find his demo interesting. As always, we begin our webinars with sort of the theory, the educational theory behind it. We feel that if we can give you the theory, you'll be able to go back to your own companies and apply it practically based on your business needs. So today we're going to first talk about drip marketing theory, and then we'll go ahead and give you the tools that you need. We'll talk about the different stages of drip marketing and all the elements that go together with drip marketing using GoldMine and IntelliClick for eMarketing for GoldMine. We will give you a live demonstration so you can see how this all works together, and at the end we'll give you some resources about how you can make this all happen for your companies. So we're going to begin today with what is drip marketing and what does it mean. And there's a lot of different definitions if you research drip marketing, but the things that are consistent is that they're planned, they're sequenced, and they're marketing messages that occur over a period of time. So for purposes of today's demonstration, we're just going to talk about email marketing messages, although you would be able to intertwine other forms of direct marketing, such as mailings or telemarketing. This term drip marketing actually comes from the agricultural term of drip irrigation, which means that you would feed little tiny plants little small amounts of water over a period of time, the theory being that they're going to grow into tall, healthy plants. So if we apply that to drip marketing, the idea is that you would feed little drips of information over to your prospect and customer database over a period of time, and you'll hopefully nurture the relationship and it will grow. It also comes from this alternative theory called the Law of 29, which states that you need to touch a prospect up to 29 times before purchase. Now, I actually, based on my experience, am going to disagree with that theory. I don't particularly like it at all. I have another theory called the readiness theory, and that's actually an educational theory that students are going to grasp concepts at different ages. So they're not going to learn until they're ready. And if I apply that to the drip marketing world, I would suggest that people are not going to purchase until they're ready. So you may catch people in various stages of readiness to purchase, and I think the smart marketer is going to know how to handle, based on a prospect's response, where they need to go in terms of indicating their readiness to purchase. And that's really what we're going to talk about today when we show you some practical application of this. You'll notice that we have two different kinds of drip marketing tracks that we talk about later, and one is really an active track where, based on a prospect's response, we believe that they would be more ready to purchase than more of a passive track where we may put someone into an educational bucket, for example, to receive just educational messages over a period of time because they have not yet indicated their readiness to purchase. So the next question is, why are we doing all of this? What are the opportunities of email drip marketing? Well, first of all, we get brand awareness. And I think along with brand awareness comes credibility, that companies who receive similarly branded messages over a period of time are more likely to purchase from you, and you do gain credibility. They begin to sort of like you and become familiar. I think a second opportunity for email drip marketing is education. We want to be able to provide valuable information, and I can't under or overemphasize this enough. Education is really key. If you're going to drop information on your prospects over a period of time, make sure that it's information that's valuable to them. And I have some tips and tricks about how to get some valuable information out as well, which I can share with you. Targeting and personalization. It's terrific because when you send email marketing messages using GoldMine, you're able to send it to your targeted group in GoldMine. You're able to personalize it, make sure you have the person's name in, their company name. And so that's really another great opportunity of email drip marketing. Timely touches. When we send out drip marketing, we can react in a timely way based on what the recipients have done and where they have clicked. We can send them relevant, timely information and respond immediately. So that's a real advantage of email drip marketing. Relationship building. This is absolutely critical, that when you're communicating with your prospects, it gives you an opportunity to nurture that relationship over time. And then finally, they always say we shouldn't talk about this in drip marketing because you shouldn't sell in drip marketing, so I won't call it selling. I'm going to call it lead generation, as distinguished from selling, because I believe that drip marketing can absolutely provide highly qualified leads that you may be able to close sales on over a period of time. And so again, this is based on someone's readiness to purchase, that you may put them in a more active track versus a passive track, and you'll decide that based on how they are reacting to your email campaigns. But the bottom line here is, if I look at the big picture and what does this all mean and why would we implement drip marketing, it's really to build trust. If you look at all of the research out there, it'll all come back to saying, you know, people don't really buy from people they like, they buy from people that they trust. And these are different ways that you can build trust using drip marketing, and it has all of these advantages. One other thing that I wanted to talk about is, when we talk about drip marketing, you know, it's not just a matter, I had talked about education, it's not just a matter of sending an email to somebody weekly or monthly. It's a matter of making sure that you're giving them value in those emails. So I just wanted to suggest that you can attach white papers. These may be white papers that are done by other companies, generally different large research companies or associations for your industry, but they may also be white papers that you prepared. You can attach testimonials, case studies, press releases, any type of supporting literature, newsletters. I said I was going to provide you a tip on the education, which is that you can actually use Google Alerts to put in a keyword for something in your industry and have it send you updated information about what's happening in your industry. And occasionally you'll see research or literature that is out there, for example, if you're financial services, etc., where you can review your Google Alerts daily and see if there's something interesting out there that you may want to send to your customer base. So that's a free, easy way for you to be able to compile information about your industry and get it out to your prospect and customer database. So we're going to now transition from the theory of all of this into the real life. So this is wonderful. I've talked to you about the theory of drip marketing and why we want to use it. So let me talk to you now about how do we create these consistent communications based on interests. How do we practically go back to our companies today and implement it? So I'm going to, our slide here is divided into a few sections, different stages, which I'm going to talk you through. And I just want to mention, when you see this slide, because it has a lot of information, do not get intimidated by this. There are many opportunities to get help, whether it's from your GoldMine partner, whether it's from our company if you're not working with a GoldMine partner, and some other resources that we'll talk about at the end. But you will be able to do this. So the first step that I want to talk about is setting the stage for drip marketing. The way that I liken this is that you need the proper ingredients if you're going to make a really great chocolate cake. So there's 3 areas up here. If you see my mouse pointer, you have to have your email templates, because remember I mentioned that drip marketing is planned. You must write down on a piece of paper what do you want to do, how do you want to sequence it, and over what period of time. So if you want to send out email marketing messages, you have to decide what the content is for all of those email templates, and you need to build them. They have to be ready to go. So that's really the first step. The second step is you need to identify your target audience, and so we all know in GoldMine that that would be your filter or group. So you have to build your filters and groups, and those have to be ready to go. The third thing that has to happen are your processes, and when I say that, what I mean is the sequence of events that are going to occur, and I refer to that in GoldMine as building your automated processes in GoldMine, which you can take advantage of, and we're going to show you an example of a couple of automated processes that we've built in GoldMine for drip marketing, so you can see how this all works. The final piece is sort of when you mix it all in a bowl together and you put it in the oven to bake, and that's using the campaign manager in GoldMine. And by the way, all of the things that I'm talking about are completely available to you in the 7.0 and 8.0 versions of GoldMine. We do, for purposes of this demonstration today, we do demonstrate the latest and greatest of GoldMine, which is 8.5, but you are able to do this in earlier versions of GoldMine as well. So the campaign manager gives you a methodical way to organize and sequence all of this and see it all together based on your campaigns. I want to mention one other thing which is key, is that the whole idea of being able to trigger these drip marketing tracks is that when you use the IntelliClick wizard to create special hyperlinks, because we know that IntelliClick is the tool that we're talking about for eMarketing, when you use that wizard to insert your special hyperlinks in your email templates, that is what gives you the ability in writing back to GoldMine to trigger all of the different tracks and sequences that will take place for your drip marketing. So after you have all of this prepared, the next step is you're going to send it out to your target audience. And let's look at what happens after that. The recipients of your email messages are going to begin to click on those specially created hyperlinks that you've inserted into your email messages. And all of that data is going to go back into the database in real time, and you'll be able to do different things with that data once it comes in. So for example, if someone clicks on a literature fulfillment link that they'd like to obtain a white paper or a case study or something that you've referenced and linked in your email, the GoldMine database and IntelliClick working together are going to immediately fulfill that literature out to your recipient. The other critical thing that happens here is that you have the ability within the IntelliClick wizard to update a campaign field flag. And that's what I was referring to when I said earlier that we have, for purposes today, an active and passive track. So what happens is if someone clicks, let's say, on a link that we believe means that their readiness to purchase is more medium to long term, we can decide to put them on a passive track, and they will be dropped into an educational track to receive more informational messages ongoing about either what's happening in your industry or about product information, etc. If we believe that based on what they've clicked on in the email message, it is updating our GoldMine database to drop them in a more active sales track, we can then have drip marketing triggered so that the messages that are going back to these people are more sales related. So now I'm going to show you an example of a sales track. So here we're talking about if someone clicks on a particular hyperlink in our email, it has now updated a field in our GoldMine database that says this company should be moved into a sales track. The automated process then kicks off, and in 2 days they will then receive an email template talking about engaging their sales team. We then have them receiving 7 days after that a cost-effective lead generation tool. And obviously we're talking about IntelliClick because we're just giving you an example of the kinds of things that we can do in our own business. And then 14 days later, we can give an example of the kind of reporting that you can receive. So this is more of a sales track. And I've done that because I believe that based on the click-throughs that these companies have more of a readiness to purchase. Now over here, we're going to talk about an educational track. What's happening here is that the people that are clicking through on our email hyperlinks are really clicking through on definitions in eMarketing, or they may be clicking through to look through at the webinar information on our website. So we say, you know what, their readiness to purchase may be more medium or long term, so let's put them on an educational track, and in 2 days they'll receive some informational emails, they may receive a webinar information, and then finally a case study. What's interesting and what's unique about this tool is we want to tie it back into a sales process as well, because right now we're talking about drip marketing, but we also have the capacity that at any stage during the educational track or during the sales track to have phone calls, alarmed phone calls, scheduled to our identified sales reps in the database, so that if we believe that at some point along the way it's appropriate to schedule a phone call and set up communication with our prospects, that we can go ahead and use our IntelliClick wizard to be able to schedule a phone call that gets triggered right off of a hyperlink. So in the final piece of this, what we want to do is we've shown you the theory, we've talked about the theory, we've shown you the practical application in a picture of how we can make this all happen. So the next thing we want to do is show you how can we effectively demonstrate this in GoldMine. And so that's really what we're going to move to now, is we're going to go to the sample campaign tracks that we've identified for you. And I'm going to introduce our co-presenter now, Stephen Pearl, who's going to pick up the webinar from now and do our demonstration.
Everyone. I'm glad that everyone could make it this morning, and what I'm going to try to do is show you some examples of what Pam just walked through in that flow chart actually being deployed with GoldMine, and some of the components and mechanisms within GoldMine that make this drip marketing possible. So I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm displaying right now the GoldMine 8.5 version. Many of you may already be on this, others may be on earlier versions, and as Pam mentioned, this does work with GoldMine versions 7 and up as far as both our product and as far as the mechanisms I'm going to be showing you today. Now, Pam had talked about the idea of making sure everything was properly ready to be able to execute your campaigns. And so there's a number of areas within GoldMine to make sure things are ready. One of the things we talked about was your templates, and so I'm going to move over here and show an example where we would have already prepared these different types of email templates that speak to the communication we want during the email drip campaign. And of course, at some point along the way, each of these will be sent off. The nice thing about these emails is that they can all be set starting off with the one that may start the ball rolling, and this is the one I'll be showing this morning. They can all be set with some very special hyperlinks. And we like to recommend that when you create templates, sometimes you have a combination of hyperlinks to your website, but you can also potentially use what we call to action buttons. And our tool allows these call to action to immediately respond. Examples you're seeing here are you could have somebody potentially be immediately signed up for a newsletter. They could be scheduled to someone to immediately make a phone call to them. Literature fulfillment, which is the example we'll use today, could be immediately kicked off so that information is being sent to them, or you could even have them potentially be registered for some type of upcoming webinar, seminar, or some event that you're planning to hold. In all cases, the key here is that tracking information is important and is valuable to know who's done what from a campaign, but the call to action really lets you go a step further. And the example I'll be showing you this morning will show where a call to action to ask for literature is going to trigger a particular sales track. So, of course, for sales tracks to be able to be done, I'm going to show you in the automated processes. Let me just get over here to our automated processes, where we would have created already these various processes and tracks. And what you're seeing here is we have a sales track and we have an education track. And each of these tracks has a series of steps. Of course, to know which track to kick off, we're going to make sure that records have a process that really is checking for these various flags we write to the database. So as you come up with new flags, it's easy to add additional options to check for. And if a flag is written to a field that process is monitoring, it will then go to the appropriate track that needs to be executed. So you could see here that this checking for flags is going to see whether a sales or education flag was put in through a click. Once that happens, it will go and attach the appropriate drip marketing track that needs to start to take place, and then those steps will be taken. You'll notice that in these tracks, I am actually copying the flag that's being put into another field in the system. That way I can keep track of the different flags that have been updated in the system, and then I clear that flag field so that we don't reprocess that same thing a second time. So as the flag is hitting the system, we're sort of making a notation of it somewhere else. We clear the flag, and we go ahead and put the appropriate steps in place that will, depending on the track, start sending messages, in this case, at timed intervals. Again, the key, of course, is we're trying to associate the track and the information based on what we believe is their interest and readiness to buy. And so that's what all of this is tied around. So now that we've created both the actual documents or templates that need to occur and the processes we want to occur, we obviously will need to make sure we've identified who is this group or recipient list that we want to have be used. And I've got here an example of the one that I'll be using today, which is an e-newsletter group that we want to put forth a campaign to. So this will be the group that I will show. And so this would be my target audience that I've identified using some various filters and grouping to identify and isolate them in our database. Now, the final component that helps you pull this all together is something called the Campaign Manager. And this Campaign Manager is a way to basically organize and structure your steps so that once the campaign is set up, the various steps that need to occur are set to be waiting to occur. If you associate this to a group, it then already tells you who are all the individuals that are due to receive the actual campaign. And so the steps that we go ahead and execute will be executed against this list or group. The nice thing about the campaign management tool is it's really just organizing and executing the steps that you would otherwise have to do individually within GoldMine. It's just streamlining that for you. It also will then show you what was completed, so you can have a history of the actions that were taken and completed for a campaign. It's, again, a nice place to go back and have a way to know that all the things we had intended to do for a campaign did, in fact, get completed. So in our case here, we're going to execute this email, and I'll just show you that for the purposes of our demonstration, I'm just going to have it queue the message as opposed to send it out directly. So I'm going to have this just simply placed in an outbox, which can then still allow us to click and show you examples of what it does without physically sending it to the recipients for today. Normally, you would probably just have this immediately go out the door as part of the first step. The second step in this process is to associate the check for flags automated process. And this is so that we make sure that all the records that are in this campaign do have something that is going to start monitoring for flags. So by making sure that our campaign puts it there, we're now certain that as people start to respond, we have something constantly checking and processing the flags that get written back to the system. So I'm going to go ahead first and tell it to execute this step by just simply saying complete the task. And when I do so, that task right now in a moment will actually queue those messages. So when I go to the email center, you can now see that the messages for that group have been queued as part of the process. I still have one step left that needs to be completed, and that's to be sure we've associated the checking for flags. And so I'm going to go ahead and complete that task. And so now I've made sure that those records, these are my two steps that are now complete, those records have something that are monitoring so that if something gets clicked on, it does in fact take action and associate the process. So back over here in our email center, there is all of our emails queued and ready to go. Let's see if we can expand this a little more. I'm just going to use an example. Doesn't really matter which one. Let's go over here to Greg Ellis. And here is the message that's been merged to Greg. And as the example here, I'm going to click on the Send Me Information button. So with the Send Information button, basically this is an example of what our little IntelliClick tool allows you to do, is have the process immediately tell someone through a landing page what's about to take place. In this case, a fulfillment of literature from that button is going to be sent to them. But what's most important is what is happening back in GoldMine as part of that process. So I'm going to go over to, let me make sure we're on Greg's record. And so with our product, we would have at some point fairly soon a little write back. Now you could see here we've basically already updated the fact that that click took place, that it was a literature fulfillment of an e-brochure. This is the date and time it happened. You're also seeing a lot of other things Greg has done with us in the past. So we can also see other types of response that Greg has had to other campaigns. He's navigated our website. He may have unsubscribed. This was just an example, so I did send this even though there's an unsubscribe. This was just sample data. But these are all things that GoldMine is being updated with and tracked through our tool. Now I'm going to just move off and refresh. And so we can see that a campaign flag called sales has been placed as a result of that click. And momentarily we should see the process pick that up. So we have something that normally you would run on your server, continually scanning the system and checking for changes going on in your database. And as it finds those changes, it should then go ahead and execute what is supposed to take place. So we're just going to give this a moment to find it and execute it. But what we would expect to see is that a process become attached to this. Well, actually, I just noticed that process didn't get attached. So let's attach it. Okay. So that check for flags needed to be part of that campaign attachment here to this record to be sure that it is getting processed. So let's give it a moment here to catch up with us. You're also seeing that basically the whole write back does update the history, so we know the kind of interest people have shown and what we've done from the point of view of the history in the database. And so this is giving us a lot of intelligence that we can then look back to through certain reports against their behavior. So we're just going to make sure that everything is all right. Let us make sure that our processes are continually scanning. This little scanning piece is something, again, that you would have typically running in a separate environment that would just simply be checking the database. And so we just want to be sure that that ongoing scan for any flags and automated processes that need to occur are already in place. And we'll just give it a chance to find those flags and execute what it's been told to do through the automated processes. Again, as Pam was mentioning, for those of you who are going to want to get some help with some of this, there are some nice resources available to you, both either through your partners or it can be something you can get. There's a very good book and video available that speaks to all of these things, and I'll be talking about that in a moment and where that's available to you if you would like to use that as a resource. So we've now gone ahead and see that the sales flag has been moved from here to show a record of the fact that we did receive that flag at one point. And if I look over here at my processes, I can see that there is a drip marketing sales track that has been added automatically, that its first step is going to be to send that email in 2 days from the day that this was attached, and then everything will sequence from there. I'm leaving my check for flags. That's going to stay there, and so that if there's future flags added to my system, if another click causes some other flag, it will see the new flag and start to associate other campaigns and drip marketing procedures where appropriate. So this is an example where the information that has been written back to the system has triggered that flow and process we had hoped it would do. And of course, we have a good history of when these various responses took place as a result of the click in the email message. Now, obviously, it's important to be able to make sense of a lot of the information flowing back into the system, and so we recommend that being able to look at an ongoing basis the kind of results you're getting from your campaigns is where these analysis reports can help. And the top leads report is one of the many reports we include with IntelliClick that helps you make sense of all this data so that you can determine what is working well for you and what isn't, and where you should take action beyond what the system may be doing automatically for you. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you a quick example of this top leads report. I'm going to run it for the Imagine campaign. So I'm going to just say I only want to isolate information on my Imagine campaign, and I'd like it to isolate for me, as of today, my 15 best leads based on the kind of responses we've had from people. And I want to measure the time period of those responses to be, we'll say, back starting as of the last quarter. So from April 1st through to, we'll take it to, if we're going to do a quarterly snapshot of it, we'll take it through to the end of June. And so let's just bring up our little calendar here. And so we'll have it just look through to the very end of June. And then what's important in this particular report is we allow the user to decide, well, what is the importance of the behavior that's been recorded in the system? So in this case, we might say, well, if they've opened our messages, I'll assign some form of a weighting. I might make that be a half a point for the fact that they're reading our messages. If they click to our pages in our messages, we'll let that be a full point. But we'll say if they're actually navigating the website, which our product allows you to monitor, we'll make that a little more important. They're spending time looking at our website and information, so we'll move that up to a 1.5. If they're asking for information, we'll set that to be worth 2 points. And if they've ever registered for any events, then we'd say they're now showing that they want to spend time and talk to us. We'll go ahead and set that at the highest level at a 2.5. And when the report is actually run, it will return for us. Let's just, okay, it will return for us the information on who are those highest opportunities that we've asked for based on the weightings we're using. So in this particular case, we're actually able to measure for this particular campaign that these are the best prospects that we're identifying, and we can see it visually as well, so we can get a magnitude of which are the absolute best ones as information has been recorded in the system. So this is one of numerous types of reports we try to provide that helps you really take advantage of and make sense of all the data flowing back to your system to start isolating the best opportunities for a given campaign. Now, one of the things we wanted to mention as far as resources, so how can this type of thing be done by me, and what help and assistance is available? There is a little book out in the market called eMarketing with GoldMine. Chad Smith runs something called the GoldMine blog, and he offers this book along with a video tutorial that walks you through in a little bit more detail how to do some of the things we showed in our demonstration today. The book goes through in detail how you properly build templates, how you're able to build automated processes, and many other things like that. What we are offering today is for anyone who ends up buying IntelliClick before the end of next month, before August 31st, we will be providing a complimentary copy of this book and the video and everything that is sold by Chad. So this is something we're going to make available at no extra charge for anyone who elects to purchase IntelliClick in the next month and a half. Of course, that is out there and always available to you at any time. And for those of you who are interested in getting a little bit more information about today's presentation, as well as both our product and how we can assist you in implementing this in your own environment, these are some of the ways to contact us. We have our website where there's a lot of information, recorded webinars of some of the past presentations we've made, as well as some good information about the product and its capacity and capabilities. You can reach us also toll-free at 888-827-5628, and extension 204 will get you through to our sales area where some information can be obtained there, or you can certainly write to us at sales@intelliclicksoftware.com. Now, I'm going to make sure that Pam, I hope, has been monitoring for questions while we've been going through this. And let's see if, or feel free to go ahead and post any questions you might have so that we can try and respond to some things you'd like to know more about from today's presentation. Pam, are you with us as well?
Here. I just wanted to give everyone a few moments to be able to gather your thoughts, because I know that we've added a lot of information today. I wanted to reiterate that we have, well, two things. We do have some questions, but I also want to mention that we did not show a full demonstration of the actual IntelliClick tool today, and we do have, for those that are interested to see the more detailed wizard and that type of thing, we do have those recordings out on our website, which are just the basics of how to implement IntelliClick and the tracking software, etc. So I wanted to point out to you that we did not do a full detailed demo. So if you're interested, please contact if you have questions about that, and feel free to go ahead to our website, and under the webinars tab there's a video recording, and you can download our videos and obtain information that way.